finally just had to give it up, and I surrendered. And I relaxed. And then the heart opened. So I got up and I went straight in front of the congregation. That night we marched in twos. I held the hand of a younger black boy who was so much more scared than I was. Most of us had candles. And we marched from over Lincoln Hill, through the back streets until we finally got up close to the slave market. And we could hear the mob before we even saw them. They were so, aroused with screaming obscenities, and it was scary. And so we began singing our songs as we approached the place where we were going to come face to face. And here's the interesting part. So the mob of the community members are sort of standing there at the edge of the slave market. The local police and deputy sheriffs are just standing around. And in between them and us is the National Guard. But the National Guard is facing us with their German shepherds on chains, straining at their leashes to get us. I thought, this is backwards. We're not the ones you should be looking at. These dogs shouldn't be facing us, they should be facing these other people. So anyway, we sang our songs, and then we turned and started to go back to church, and that's when they went crazy. And they started throwing bricks, rocks, all kinds of stuff, yelling and screaming, their faces all distorted with hate. But none of us broke ranks, and we marched all the way back to the church. And we were so proud of ourselves that we had made the trip, and we had stayed true to our desire to be nonviolent. So the next day, I got a message that the king wanted to talk to me. Now, I'm a shy little white girl, 19 years old. He wants to talk to me. So I went, sat at this little table. It was just him and me. I'm sitting across from him in a chair. He was very kind, very respectful. He thanked me for being there. And then he asked me about my family and where I went to school and what I was studying, and just getting to know me. And then he said, I wonder if you'd be willing to go with me tomorrow to sit in. We're probably going to end up going to jail. That was the easy part. Yes, sir. So I went and found the phone. We didn't have cell phones back then. I found the phone and I called my mother and I said, Mom, I'm going to lunch about a king and I need you to bring me a dress. So you probably know the rest of the story. So there were 5 of us in the car and we drove over to Mountains Lodge. And of course we were launching a big Fill the Jails campaign at that point and knew we were going to be arrested, and the media was all there, which was all part of the point of the story. And got to the parking lot, got out of the car, and first of all the media are there, and the police are all there, and Mr. Mead-Rock was standing on the steps of his restaurant, and we walked up to the restaurant, and of course he said, you can't come in here. And he said, we just came to have some lunch. Well, you can't come in here. If you don't leave, you're going to be arrested. And that's what happened. So we got arrested and all out of jail. Now, the other interesting thing happened was that the jail was still segregated. So they put me in a jail cell with these 2 other white women. One was a murderer and one was a forger. And all my friends were put in a cell down the hall. So we couldn't see each other, but we could hear each other. And so we would sing songs and talk to each other. And I was in the front cell, so I could see through the windows of the jail out into the parking lot. And it was so exciting to see these busloads of people coming in day after day. Kids, adults, teenagers, busloads of people coming into the parking lot. The hard part was watching the deputies with their cattle prods prodding these little kids getting out of the vans. Mom, all they're giving is beans and rice, peanut butter jelly sandwiches with no jelly. Could you bring us some food? So she went to the store and got a big box of oranges. I took a couple for myself and passed the rest down to the other gals in the jail cell. But on the 6th day, they came and bonded me out. The movement. I didn't understand that. So I said, what's going on here? Why are you? I'm happy to stay here. And they said, well, we got word that those women in your cell were planning to do you in. And so we thought we'd get you out of there. So from then on, I only went back to jail once. It's the next day when I took a lunch. I had one more arrest, and I was driving 4 little black kids in their little bathing suits, bless their hearts, in a car over to Munson's to go to the pool. We were doing swim-ins, we were doing raid-ins, we were doing sit-ins, we were doing a whole gamut. So I had these 4 little kids in my car, scared to death, as you can imagine. And where I'm double parked right there in front of Munson's Lodge, main drag. And I can see the cop on the road behind me. I'm saying, okay kids, you do this, you gotta do it now. And they did. Ooh, so brave. These 4 little kids got out of the car and let it over there, jumped on the pool. And I got busted and hauled off for stopping on the highway and conspiracy or something else. The last and most important memory that I have was the night of July 2nd, and we were all crowded around the TV set, watching the Bill of Rights get signed, and feeling so proud because we knew that the work we had done for St. Augustine had made a big difference. Now, obviously, I'm in a room full of people who are already awake and taking action, and I celebrate that. That is wonderful. I feel like there's almost an echo of the 60s present right now again in humanity's consciousness. It's the same kind of feeling around some optimism, some idealism, some willingness to stand up and do something, some hope that standing up and do something might really make a difference again. The stakes, however, are much higher now. We are actually on the brink of economic and environmental collapse. These are really very heavy times. We need to be standing up more than ever before. But the good news, I feel, is I think there is really running through all of this spirit. Spirit that is ready to help humanity shift consciousness to another level, to take a quantum leap towards really being able to finally create the dream of the world that we have all wanted, a world of peace and harmony and abundance and fairness and justice. That's what I think is really running through. And so I'm really here, I think, to remind you a little bit of who we are, really. We are not our bodies. We are not our emotions. We have a body, and we've got our emotions. We have a mind, but guess what? We are not our minds either. The mind is meant to be a powerful tool, not in charge. So what's supposed to be in charge? Our spirit, our soul, the deep, intuitive wisdom of our deepest heart. The same place that Dr. King was talking about that night in 64. What I'm really trying to get out here is that your feelings of rage and your feelings of fear and your feelings of despair and your feelings of grief will come and go and are totally appropriate reactions to violation and oppression. But here's the most important thing. We have to move those emotions. We have to set them aside. We have to transform them. We have to transmute them so that the moment comes when we're taking action, that action is grounded in the deep heart wisdom, that place of compassion that He called to us that night to be in. Why is that? Because the energy that you initiate action with is what really counts. Much more than the activity. The energy with which you act is what really makes the difference. Dr. King knew that. That's what he was trying to tell us that night. He wasn't saying don't be angry. He just said if you're going to go take action, you need to be coming from that place of compassion, that deep awareness that we are really all connected. So I will end with this. I want to say to you, I thank you for everything you have already done that has helped bring us to this moment. And we can bless it. And I thank you for everything that you are doing and everything you will be doing. But most of all, I thank you for being the magnificent soul. Thank you.
On behalf of the whole life congregation, it's beautiful, although coming to us, that you know that we do appreciate you. And it's a small token, but I hope you stay and enjoy. And we enjoy it.
And on behalf of the city of St. Augustine, when you were here before, you may not have been welcome. But you are welcome at this point in time. And we wish to present you, my mayor is sitting over here. Did you have to go? He had to leave? Okay, well anyway, on behalf of the city of St. Augustine, City Commission, and the people of St. Augustine, I wish to present you our official city poem, which has our founder, they will mention the galleries on the front, and the city seal. Thank you. We'll have an Oreo sample. You will now, next speaker, Alan Brown will come up and introduce our next speaker.
Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. All right, God is good. All the time. Let's give him a hand for bringing us here today. Before I introduce my good friend, I want to acknowledge Gwendolyn Duncan. Let's give her a hand for her commitment. Here last year with my guy, my boss, Attorney Willie Gary. So I want your commitment. It's not easy to continue to do this and be sustainable and be successful. So I had to say that, acknowledge her. And then next, I want to acknowledge my good friend, who is the best state senator in the state of Florida, produced from Jacksonville, Senator Tony Hill. Let's give him a hand. He's the best state senator in the state of Florida, Senator Tony Hill. And then finally, who is following me on this journey, as many of you know, I think Willie mentioned to y'all last year that I was going to be running for mayor of Jacksonville. And since that time, I filed announcing I'm running for mayor of Jacksonville. My wife is following today. Stand up, my wife, my best friend, is with me today. I was trying to figure out what I'm going to say, how do I introduce him, since the mayor Congressman did a proclamation, and in his proclamation, he read your whole bio. So I was trying to figure out what would I say, and it's very simple, so I want to make some points about his background, and then I'll do the academic stuff first, and then I'll give a personal intro. But he's often called the most courageous person that the civil rights movement has ever produced. Congressman John Lewis has dedicated his life to protecting human rights and securing civil rights and liberty for the pursuit of happiness for everyone. Speaker Nancy Pelosi called him the conscience of the Congress. As it was mentioned earlier, he was born the son of sharecroppers on February 21st, 1940, outside of Troy, Alabama. As a young boy, he was inspired by Dr. King's vision and words, and from that moment, he joined the movement, the civil rights movement. As a student, hear me young people, as a student at this university, Congressman John Lewis organized the sit-in demonstration. He started early, which meant that he had a conviction to do something early on. He has been fighting for justice for a long time. Despite being arrested 40 times, Senator, with all the physical attacks and abuse, verbally and physically, he stayed on the battlefield. In spite of all of those things. The one thing I want to say about Congressman John Lewis, we know he serves in the Congress. He's written many books. He's an author of several. He's always on the news, eyes of the prize. He's done so many things that even this luncheon, my introduction, won't give him justice. For someone at an early age who accepted his calling to fight for opportunity for all, not just in Alabama and Georgia, but for around the country, for all of us. And I'm standing on his shoulders. So when I think about Congressman John Lewis, I think about someone who believes in justice. And I'm not talking about criminal justice. I'm talking about economic justice that says that we're all of God's children, that we will go down together or up together, down and all around, whether we'll be successful or not, if we don't live the American dream to make sure that every one of God-given children have food on their table. I believe he believed in social justice that says that none of us can make it on our own. We all need each other. We're all connected together. So his fight, his commitment is bigger than him. At an early age, he accepted the calling that God has given him to fight for racial justice. That says all of us should be treated equal in respect, no matter what color our skin, no matter where we're from, north, south, east, and west, we're all of God's children. And in order to do that, you have to have conviction in what you believe in. You have to be committed to the cause of justice. It's a lonely road out there when you're fighting for someone you've never seen before. Lonely down there. In the deep south, can you imagine, at a very young age, I believe God knew who to bring into the world during that period of time. Someone who has a backbone, not a wishbone. That's Congressman John Lewis. Not afraid of no one. And so I want to thank my good friend. I met him in 1989 when I went to Washington, Senator Hill interned for Congressman Bill Nelson. And then I met him again on a campaign trail when I went to work for then Bill Clinton. I am happy to call him my friend, someone I love tremendously. That I just think that he is definitely God gives it to the world. Not to the United States, but to the world. An example of hope and opportunity for all around the world. Our good friend, Congressman John Lewis. Let's give him a hand as he comes. Congressman John Lewis.
introduction may be much longer than what I have to say. Have said it all. This young woman has said it all. She told the story. We all have stories to tell. And we have to tell our stories over and over again so that we will not forget. And generation unborn will not forget. I'm so happy to be here. Claudine, Senator, it is good to see you again. You encouraged me to come here, to be here. And Alvin, you know, I listen to people tell me, you know, you should go someplace. You should be there. I know Dr. Linda, you didn't think I was going to make it, did you? You knew I was coming. And I'm happy to be here. You know, I was not here in St. Augustine in 1964. I wish I could have made it, but we were stuck in other places. Dr. Hagan, my friend, my brother, I met you so long ago. You're still looking good. This man never gave up, never gave in. He kept the faith. He kept his eyes on the prize. I want to thank Mr. Seth Conway. Where's that way? Where's Seth Conway? And brought me to this beautiful historic city. I love Florida. I went so lucky to be born in Florida. I was born in rural Alabama. 50 miles from Montgomery, outside of a little place called Troy, the metropolitan area of Troy, Alabama. My father was a sharecropper, a tenant farmer. But back in 1944, when I was 4 years old, and I do remember when I was 4, my father had saved $300, and with the $300, he bought 110 acres of land. My family still own that land today. I grew up in a wonderful family, mother and father, wonderful grandparents and great-grandparents. 6 brothers and 3 sisters. Now the senator at Alvin, some of you have heard me tell the story and I don't want to bore you, so just close up. But growing up on that farm, we raised a lot of cotton and peanuts, hogs, cows, and chicken. If any of you come and visit my congressional office in Washington, the moment you walk through the door, the first thing the staff will offer you will be some peanuts. Because like in the state of Georgia, we raise a lot of peanuts. And the Georgia Peanut Commission provides us with peanuts, all members of the Georgia Congressional Delegation. I don't eat too many of those peanuts. I ate so many peanuts when I was brought up in rural Alabama, I just don't want to see any more peanuts. Stafford offer you will be maybe a Coca-Cola, because Atlanta is the home of the Coca-Cola company. Coca-Cola provide all members of the Georgia delegation with an adequate supply of Coca-Cola products. Every now and then I may have a Diet Coke, but I'm telling people at Coca-Cola that I don't drink too many of those soft drinks. Now, some of you heard me say we raised a lot of, did we have some chicken for lunch? Did we chicken, right? Now, on the farm, it was my responsibility And I fell in love with raising chickens like no one else could raise chickens. I became very good at it. Any of you know anything about raising chickens? Oh, you don't. Don't try to fool me. Some of you know something about maybe Popeye, churches, Bojangles. Give me another one. Kentucky Fried. But you really don't know anything about raising chicken, do you? Some of you can raise a lot of fuss. Some of you can organize and unorganized. You can speak up. You can speak out. You can be involved. You can lead. Some of you are very smart. You're scholars, you're teachers, you're lawyers, you're doctors, you're successful business. But you don't know anything about religion. Well, let me tell you what I had to do as a young boy growing up in rural Alabama during the 40s and the 50s. And to take the fresh eggs and mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, and wait for 3 long weeks for the little chicks to hatch. Some of you may be saying, now, John Lewis, why do you mark those fresh eggs with a pencil before you place them under the setting hen? Well, from time to time, another hen would get on that same nest, and there would be some more eggs, and you had to be able to get a fresh egg from the eggs that were already under the setting hen. You follow it? It's so careful to follow this. And these little chicks would hatch our food is setting in. I would cheat on these setting in. I would take these little chicks and put them in a box with a lantern, raise them in their home, get some more fresh eggs, mark them with this, and place them into this setting in. But either you take these little chicks and give them to another hen, get some more fresh eggs, mark them with this, place them into the setting in. I kept on cheating on these setting in. And when I look back on it, was not the right thing to do. It was not the moral thing to do. It was not the most loving thing to do. It was not the most nonviolent thing to do. It was not the most democratic thing to do. But I kept on cheating on these setting ins because I was never quite able to save $18.98 to order the most inexpensive incubator or hatch implement in Susan Roebuck store. Any of you old enough to remember the Susan Roebuck catalog? Yeah, that big book. Some people call it the Warden book. Other people call it the Bush book. I wish I had this, I wish I had that. Well, I just kept on wishing. And so, but pastors, ministers here, as a young child, I wanted to be a minister. I wanted to preach the gospel. So from time to time, to help with my brothers and sisters and my first cousins, we would gather all of our chickens together in the chicken yard, like you're gathered here. And my brothers and sisters and first cousins will line the outside of the chicken yard. And the chickens, along with my brothers and sisters and cousins, will make up the congregation. And I started speaking or preaching. And when I look back on it, some of these chickens will bow their heads. Some of these chickens will shake their head. They never quite said amen. But I'm convinced that some of those chickens that I preached to in the 40s and the 50s tended to listen to me much better than some of my colleagues listen to me today. Some of those chickens were just a little more productive. At least they couldn't say. When we were visiting the little town of Troy, visit Montgomery, visit Tuskegee, visit Birmingham, I saw those signs that said white men, colored men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. On a Saturday afternoon, we would go downtown, Troy, to the theater. All of us with white children had to go upstairs to the balcony. All of the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. I would come home and ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why segregation? Why racial discrimination? And they would say, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way. Don't get in trouble. But one day, in 1955, at the age of 15 in the grade, I heard about Rosa Parks. I heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. on oral radio. The action of Rosa Parks, the words and leadership of Dr. King inspired me to find a way to get in the way. I got in the way. I got in trouble. It was good trouble and it was necessary trouble. Dr. Haley after we got in trouble. And many of you got in trouble. And many of us, as Dr. Fincher suggested, and it's time for us to get into some more trouble, that we should let the Spirit lead us. I love that. Because there's something, what I call the spirit of history. There's something in the universe that sort of pick us up and make us push and pull. I couldn't do more than anything else to say thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for not forgetting. Thank you for coming back to the old landmark. It is important that we pause, that we celebrate, that we commemorate, that we embrace the changes that have occurred here in St. Augustine and all around America. Be talking to people